Horror movie recap. Your meal is here. I don't dare go up there. Why don't you come down and get it yourself? Died at that level again. It's all related to him. The terrifying red-clothed female ghost, making the Jinkin building in Taipei become a famous suicide spot. For 20 years no one knows how many people have died. Hello everyone, I'm Movie Recap Online, a movie commentator who only loves horror movies. The next film to explain for you is the latest Taiwanese horror movie released in 2024. Ghost Movie Master. Why do people jump off buildings one after another? Why are there frequent rumors of hauntings? Why is the button for the 4th floor of the elevator unusable? Why do people perform rituals at the scene of the fall? Is there a hidden secret behind this? To find out, Wang Luo blogger Xiao Jun went to the building to apply to be a security guard. Only by going deep inside can he possibly understand the truth. The girl performing the ritual downstairs is named Zizi, and she is also a tenant in the building. Xiao Jun took out his phone and secretly followed behind her, secretly filming. If this video was posted online, it would definitely cause a sensation. But he was clumsily caught red-handed by Zizi. Faced with her questioning, Xiao Jun did not hide anything. He believed that she was an expert in ghost catching. If they could work together, there would definitely be unexpected results. Zizi didn't want her identity to be known to too many people and sternly warned him not to tell anyone. But the video on his phone wasn't fake. He could only compromise when necessary. Xiao Jun was planning to write a non-fiction ghost story. With Zizi's cooperation, it would definitely be a bestseller. They could share the profits then. Their collaboration began at that moment. Walking into the elevator, Zizi pressed the button for the 4th floor. 20 years ago, a wise guy named Brother Bao opened a brothel here. Zizi's mother was one of the workers there and even set herself on fire, causing a fire that burned many people to death. He had been raised by his grandmother since he was a child and didn't know who his biological father was. But there were often creditors at the door, making their lives restless. His mother had no choice but to make money this way. But he didn't know why she chose to commit suicide. In order to ask the reason in person, he deliberately became a security guard at the building. Over the years, he had dealt with more than a dozen souls who had died in the fire, but he still hadn't seen his mother. The rumors of hauntings in the building were real. He could feel that among the many souls, there was another terrifying presence. All the suicides were related to it, and it didn't seem to be stopping. Tragedy struck again. This time a single mother in the building. In the middle of the night, she heard a strange noise. Her daughter was stomping on an empty can. The mother was puzzled. Why wasn't she asleep and doing this instead? She slowly walked over. Did you hear what I just said? The little girl was possessed. Zizi immediately sensed a different aura. The one possessing the little girl was also a child. He died in the fire 20 years ago. The reason he was still here was that he had a lingering obsession. He took Zizi to the building's underground parking lot. An old woman who collected garbage lived here. The little ghost was her son. With Zizi's help, he appeared in his true form. He could finally tell his mother that the accident wasn't his fault and that she didn't have to stay here with him. The old woman was filled with regret. 20 years ago, why did she leave her son home alone? This was the last time the mother and son saw each other. Zizi would send the ghost to where he should go. Xiao Jun had gotten this real and touching story. He was about to write it into his book but was surprised to find new chapters appearing in his draft. The 4th floor burned to ashes 20 years ago. The appearance of a woman in red was about to make tragedy repeat itself. He was certain that he didn't write these words. Zizi was having nightmares again. Since he came here, he would often dream of his mother. He knew that his mother had her own difficulties. She was abandoned by her boyfriend after she got pregnant. His father ran away from his gambling debts. To raise her daughter and pay off debts, she could only do this disgraceful job. Amai was her only good friend here. They often referred to each other as sisters. There could be true friendship even in times of trouble. It was rare. Amai had accidentally broken one of Zizi's mother's bracelets, but Zizi's mother didn't blame her and divided the other half as a token of their sisterhood. The scene changed back to the fire. The content of the dream was no longer coherent. He could only get fragmented information. ZZ, leave quickly. ZZ vaguely heard his mother's voice. His mother was reminding him to leave quickly. This wasn't the first time this had happened. Most of the ghosts in the building had been exorcised, but why hadn't he seen his mother? He sensed a strong resentment between them. The initiator of the resentment was the real culprit behind the suicides. His master couldn't help but worrying. There was some kind of special variable in this. He was afraid that ZZ would be in danger and gave him a string of blessed beads. He was not to take them off until this was over. New content appeared in Xiao Chun's manuscript. This time, the protagonist was an office worker who was behind on rent. He had come to the city from the countryside and worked hard, but his meager salary wasn't enough to support him. He had been behind on rent for a long time, and the landlord finally had enough. If you don't pay up, you can pay with your body. He tried to force himself on her. But at the critical moment, he suddenly heard a voice say, "Go to hell. Go to hell." The landlord instinctively turned his head. The security camera in the hallway was running. His heart instantly cooled. He warned the office worker, "If you don't have the rent by tomorrow night, get out." After the landlord left, the surveillance footage in the security room flickered. A faint red figure appeared in the hallway. It possessed the office worker. The manuscript on the computer was being written. The landlord had just gotten into his car when he saw the woman following him. Thinking that she had changed her mind, he happily walked over. The possessed office worker was waving at him. The story ended. Looking at the added content in the manuscript, Xiao Jun was confused. What was going on? This wasn't the first time this had happened. But he didn't know that the one writing the novel was the red-clothed female ghost. After the office worker killed the landlord, she went to a room on the 4th floor. It had been burned to a crisp. She opened the refrigerator that was lying on the ground. But at the critical moment, a stray cat jumped in. After touching the woman's skin, the woman immediately collapsed to the ground. It was a long time before she regained consciousness and woke up again. She had no memory of what she did while possessed, but she wondered why she was here. She opened the door, wanting to leave immediately, but she didn't know there was a surprise waiting for her outside. After hearing the office worker's story, ZZ determined that she had been possessed. To help her remember what had happened, he hypnotized her. The office worker felt the woman in red's emotions. She was scared and in pain. She wanted to escape, but no one could help her. She realized that she was alone in a dark place. The hypnotized office worker put together a puzzle. Woman ... 4th floor ... enclosed space ... This time, Xiao Jun witnessed the keyboard typing. The new manuscript was written by the female ghost. The protagonist changed from the office worker to ZZ. At this moment, he was standing on the roof alone. At the critical moment when ZZ was possessed, the madman in the building punched something hard. He punched and yelled, asking why they took his family away. At that moment, Xiao Jun rushed over. ZZ was successfully rescued. The madman was also a victim of the fire 20 years ago. Not only were his parents burned to death, but he himself was burned beyond recognition. Through observation, he knew that ZZ was the daughter of the person who set herself on fire, so he wanted to kill her for revenge. But he didn't expect to accidentally stop the possession. ZZ took the madman to his residence. It enshrined the memorial tablets of all the souls that had been exorcised, including his parents. After calming the madman down, Zizi and Xiaojun began to study what had happened. The most suspicious at the moment was the red-clothed female ghost. A total of 20 bodies were found at the fire scene. One of them was in the refrigerator. Her identity remained unknown. Xiaojun had investigated. Some said that the body was already dead before the fire. The reason why it wasn't made public was that the government didn't want another unsolved case. Zizi speculated that this unidentified deceased was the ultimate resentful spirit in the building. But he didn't expect the ghost to possess someone again. It controlled Xiaojun. When Zizi asked for its identity, the female ghost inside said it was Zizi's mother and that she wanted to take him to a safe place. It was getting dangerous here. But Zizi was cautious. He asked the ghost to tell him what was in the palm of his left hand. The ghost said it was a birthmark, but it was actually a mole. The ghost was fake. Zizi's mother quietly took off the beads and chanted a spell. She suddenly attacked. A red shadow was knocked out of Xiaojun. But then, he was knocked unconscious by the falling Xiaojun. The movie was bad because of the details. In reality, no one would faint so easily. When he woke up again, he found Xiaojun possessed by Zizi's real mother. This part was also confusing. Why now? Why not earlier? 18 of the souls in the building had already been exorcised. Why didn't she show up earlier and explain? There was a huge secret hidden in this. It wasn't easy working in a brothel. Everyone had their own difficulties. Amai was beautiful and young, but she didn't know how to please men. Fewer and fewer people came to her. To make a living, she had to borrow money from Brother Bao. Brother Bao's interest rates were high. In the long run, she would only sink deeper and deeper. Zizi's mother decided to give Amai the next client. She said he was a rich guy, work hard and make money to pay off the debt. But he turned out to be a demon. Amai was beaten black and blue. Her screams reached Zizi's mother. She couldn't help but worrying. She wondered if her good sister could handle it. Amai couldn't take it anymore. She kicked the client hard and tried to escape, but she found Brother Bao guarding the door. The client was the son of a high-ranking official. The brothel could only operate here because of his protection. Offending him was equivalent to smashing their rice bowl. After finally calming his guest down, Brother Bao began to punish Amai. Amai was beaten and ran for her life. She begged anyone she saw to help her, but no one dared to help, including Zizi's mother. Hearing Amai's cries, she didn't even dare to open the door. The haunting in the building continued. This time, there was no stray cat to help. The possessed single mother opened the refrigerator, and Zizi's mother left Xiaochun's body at the critical moment. She led them both to the 4th floor. Zizi took out the beads again. He felt the overwhelming resentment. The refrigerator door slowly opened. Xiaojun was locked outside. Zizi was choked by the neck. The red-clothed female ghost was Amai. She shouted Zizi's mother's name. She had been hiding for 20 years. Now her daughter was in her hands. She didn't believe she wouldn't come out. Her daughter was Zizi's mother's weakness. She had to face the wrath. It was her fault. She knew what kind of person that client was. But at the critical moment, everyone stood by and watched as Amai was beaten to death. Zizi's mother, filled with guilt, drank herself into a stupor. The body in the refrigerator was Amai. Brother Bao stuffed her in there. She died with her eyes wide open because of the resentment. She even lit Zizi's mother's candle. That was the truth about Zizi's mother setting herself on fire. She was also a victim. The main plot wasn't complicated, but the movie was poorly executed, and things weren't explained very clearly. Like, why did Emma need someone to open the refrigerator? She could come and go freely. She killed a lot of people. But why couldn't she find Ziji's mother? And the ending. Ziji's mother cried a few times and apologized. And Emma calmed down and decided to forgive her. But because her sins were too great, she was engulfed in flames. Fire could burn souls, but in the end, she was touched by Ziji's mother's friendship. Because she didn't run away, she bravely stayed. The terrifying fire was extinguished by the bracelet, and they both successfully went back to the underworld to be reincarnated. The movie was very average. It was a way to kill time, but don't expect too much. The movie summary ends here. Please leave a comment, like and subscribe to the Movie Recap online channel. Thank you, everyone.